What's going on, everyone? Richard Zapp from Kitchen Table Meta, helping out Russ over here at PokeRussPlays, bringing to you today one of a few different deck lists we're bringing to you. Excited about the set 4 meta, a lot of variety in the meta, a lot of diversity, really excited to play it. Today I want to talk about one of my personal favorite lists we have, SS3 Namekian. So the way this deck works is, it's a fun concept which is built around the combination of Reign of Terror, King Piccolo, and to Save a Hopeful Future. So what the cornerstone of this deck is to Save a Hopeful Future is a 4-cost spell that costs 3 green, and it says choose one of your green battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less in your drop zone and play it. So the idea here is to get Reign of Terror Piccolo into your discard pile. So on turn 3, because you have 4 mana because of Heightened Evolution Goku, you're able to play this for 3. And Reign of Terror King Piccolo has a dual attack, so he's attacking twice for 25k. And then you can place this card in the drop area in order to put a Piccolo or Piccolo Jr., primarily these 2 cards, into play, and then you get an additional mana from it. And now you have a Reign of Terror King Piccolo in your discard pile, and it allows you to play to Save a Hopeful Future multiple times in a row. So building that concept around, we'll go through the deck list, starting with the leader. SS3, relatively straightforward. You've probably seen it quite a bit before. The one thing I will point out unique about this leader is you can take advantage of this ability to discard 1 card, put a card in your discard to flip the 2 mana. You can intentionally put your Reign of Terror King Piccolo into the discard pile, so turn 1, you're ready to load up that to Save a Hopeful Future. So we open the deck off with 4 copies of Newfound Power Son Gohan. This is primarily your card to help you awaken. You utilize this to do a little bit of early damage. Relatively straightforward. It's not the greatest card in here, but unfortunately blue-green does not have a lot of cards that help yourself awaken. Gohan is a much-needed addition. Luckily, even if you only draw 1 Newfound Power Son Gohan, you are running copies of Legendary Flute, so if you open 2 green, you can attack with Gohan, Flute, bring it back and play it again. We also run 4 copies of Kind-Hearted Namekian Dende. This card allows you to look at the top 3 for an Namekian. This is all of your combo pieces. Additionally, it also gets 4 copies of Boost Attack Piccolo, which is your super combo. Straightforward for the blue, but it's nice that your 1-drop can get your super combo. In addition to these 3 cards, you also have 4 copies of Namekian Duo Purina, I believe is how his name is pronounced. This card is super cool for those of you that haven't seen it. Once per turn, you can take 1 Namekian in your hand. So it can be Dende, it can be one of the Piccolos Piccolos we've seen earlier. So you put it underneath, you replace it by drawing a new card, and now this Namekian Duo Purina is a 20k critical, and he just took a card that was probably questionable in your hand, not the greatest card, and you probably drew into a better card. So this is a very useful engine for getting cards going. One of the greatest things I love about this is you can use it to take that Reign of Terror Piccolo, target Reign of Terror Piccolo with Namekian Duo Purina, and now whenever Namekian Duo Purina leaves the field, Reign of Terror is going to leave the field as well, and now your To Save a Hopeful Future is online. To utilize the ability of Heightened Evolution SS3 to use 4 mana, we're going to use 3 copies of Raging Spirit Son Gohan and 4 copies of Unbreakable Saiyan Goku. Both of these cards relatively straightforward. These Raging Spirit cards, these cards that you can combo and then put into battle, they're going to be pretty relevant this meta. They're great targets for the Legendary Flute. Also, with this deck running so many cards that involve Bond, that your 4-cost Kami's Power Piccolo, this will allow you to activate the rest of your Bond, because you need to have a second battle card on the field to resolve that. 3 copies of Piccolo the Strategist, or 4 copies of each, I'm sorry. 4 copies of Kami's Power and 4 copies of Piccolo. These are going to be your main targets to resolve off of Reign of Terror King Piccolo. Kami's Power and Piccolo the Strategist both having Barrier, so they're both fantastic for closing games. I will say that this 4th copy of Piccolo the Strategist is probably negotiable, just because it's so important to hit green mana. You're rarely going to have 3 blue mana to play Piccolo the Strategist for free, or on curve. But at the worst case scenario, this is just an extra card to put underneath your Namekian Duo Karina, and it can replace you into a green card to help you mana fix. Again, Kami's Power Piccolo, as long as you have a second guy on field, and it doesn't care if it's Namekian. I know a lot of these cards, they do care about having a second Bond Namekian, but this just needs a second card. It can be your 1-drop Dende, it can be your Raging Spirit Gohan. This will allow you to blow up 1 card regardless of level every single turn. Very powerful. 4 copies of Reign of Terror Piccolo. As I said, this is the cornerstone of the deck. Fantastic. Fantastic card. Being able to play it on turn 3 is huge. At the top of the curve, we have 1 copy of Scientist Fu. We only run 1 black card in this deck because your drop zone is pretty important. You're not always going to be able to afford to remove your cards because you need to be able to keep your 4 copies of To Save a Hopeful Future online. And those cards really demand having your drop zone intact. Additionally, we play 2 copies of the Legendary Flute. This is going to allow you to reuse your Dendes. This is going to allow you to reuse your Raging Spirit Sun Gohans. And my particular favorite combo in the deck is... So you have a copy of Namekian Duo Purina, and let's say you wanted to get a Reign of Terror King Piccolo into your discard pile. So what you'll do is you have the Purina on field on turn 1 or turn 2 because you're starting with at least 2 mana. You take the Reign of Terror King Piccolo, put it underneath Namekian Duo Purina. You're now swinging with a 20k critical, and you deal with damage. Then you play the Legendary Flute. Purina goes back to your hand for you to use later, and the game mechanics say now that Reign of Terror King Piccolo get discarded, and now you have your To Save a Hopeful Future online. You run 2 copies of Legendary Flute just because, again, opening double green, or at least 1 green, is very, very important in this deck. And then to close out, 4 copies of Full Power Energy and 4 copies of Sensu Bean. If you're playing blue, you need to run Sensu Bean 3 to 4 copies. If you're playing Full Power Energy, this is one of the most important cards in the game right now. There's very fast decks right now: Red Blue Hirudegan, Red Blue Trunks, Red Blue SS3 that are trying to close games very, very early, and Sensu Bean and Full Power Energy are the best ways to make sure that doesn't happen to you. If you were to make any improvements to this deck, I would start wondering what other cards you could play as alternative targets for your To Save a Hopeful Future. 5-cost Gotenks, Super Saiyan Gotenks might be a viable consideration, as well as Combo Killer Analysia, I believe his name is pronounced. Both decent candidates if you're trying to think of other cards to include in this deck. But make sure you check out PokeRuss Games here. Shouts to some of the card shops that we work with us. Bottom Dollar Trading Cards in Warren, Ohio, ICG in Sharon, Ohio. Shouts out to my sponsor of our Kitchen Table Meta, PokeRuss, for letting us talk. Later on.